Hello, this is Marshall Zukov, and here we are together again on YouTube. Working on a couple additional Scout Scope projects. These are Model 91, not 9130s. These are Model 91 rifles. Barreled actions as they sit right now that have been cut down. And I have removed the rear sight on these. We can see them here. One of them is still hot, and we can see where the set screw hole is right there and how much solder was on the rear dovetail here. This is a similar, I should say the 9130 is set up similarly to the M91s. However, there are no holes in the side of the dovetail here for the rear sight pins to go in like on 9130s. I was thinking possibly about drilling some holes and using a Scout Scope type setup, but this is just a preliminary stage. There's a couple different mounts I've been looking at, and I will be needing a long eye relief scope for this Scout rifle type setup. So these are just the preliminary stages. What I used to remove the rear sights was just a little map gas deal, and this here. This is nice and handy. This is pretty helpful to have the little push button deal on there. But they both came off actually pretty easy. I was kind of surprised, but I held with my left. Since I don't have three hands, I couldn't demonstrate on camera, but I got it heated up until I could see some stuff bubbling out down around the sides and around both ends, and then just started tapping lightly with the hammer right here like this, and then it just started to slowly move and just tapped it right off forward. And that's how you remove one of the rear sights. It does take just probably a good 30-40 seconds worth of heat directly on the rear sight. This one's cooled down a bit, and I could probably pound that back in place, but yeah, you just gotta go around and on top, make sure you get the sides. You can see how far down this stuff here, the solder was making contact with the underside on both of these rear sight bases. So, and I'm sure part of this, well, maybe a little bit of it was from it sliding forward, but you can see the shape right here and how this would be on it. You can line it up like that and see, I'll get a little bit of light on there, we can see kind of similarly how they're matched up there and how much solder was put on beneath it. But both of these did have a set screw in there. That hole you can see. The other one's been covered up by the little bit of solder that came off with it when I tapped it forward. So this is just the early stages so far, and it's not really very hot. It doesn't start to get hot until right here. If I hold my fingers there a little bit longer, it'll probably be a little bit too hot to touch. But that's all the farther the heat has traveled, and it's been maybe about 5 minutes. And here on the barrel shank, here's where it starts to get really hot too. Almost hot enough to the touch, but directly underneath it is hot, I'm not gonna lie. Too hot to touch right underneath where the rear sight was at, but the heat will travel around, but it's what it takes to remove that rear sight. But you don't want to get like a big old acetylene torch and a rosebud, then too much will change the temper too much of the steel, and then it could become dangerous. But I would have to estimate that there was probably not much more heat used to remove this than was originally used to install the original front sight base, or the rear sight base in place. So I hate to do it, and maybe I may receive some criticism from some of the purists out there. I guess I would say I'm kind of a purist myself, but with a rifle that had a bore that was just so shot out that a counterbore wouldn't save it of just a 3/4 of an inch or so, we thought, since these rifles, I didn't spend hardly any money on either one of these, that we'd say, hey, let's do a project. And one of the barrels has been cut at 20 inches, 22 inches, correction, the shorter one here, and then the other one has been cut at 24 inches. So we'll get in there, recrown them, put a little scout scope on them, and see if there's any life left in them. We can see here, just by doing a quick little bullet test, before it would swallow it all the way in up to the shoulder of the case. But now it looks like we may have a little bit of life left in here, and see how they shoot. Very interested to see how it's going to turn out. So we'll definitely be keeping some updates coming on the 2 Scout Scope M91 project. And until next time, Marshall Zhukov signing out.